He was just looking in the mirror when he stumbled upon a million-dollar business idea. Back in the 1960s, windshield wipers only ran at a constant speed. There was no way to adjust the speed or frequency based on the amount of rain. Sometimes, they'd make this annoying rubber squeaking sound. For drivers, it was a nightmare. Driving in the rain was way more dangerous than it needed to be. But if you turned off the wipers, the windshield would get blurry almost instantly. So every car company was scrambling for a solution. Bob was a college physics professor. One day, he was looking in the mirror, and suddenly, inspiration hit him. What if he could invent a wiper that worked like the human eye, automatically wiping away the rain based on how hard it was coming down? That would be a game-changing invention. Bob was so excited. He called it the intermittent wiper. But reality hit hard. Making a wiper work intermittently was easier said than done. So Bob thought about using electronic parts to control the wiper motor. With help from his two sons, he used transistors, capacitors, and resistors to finally make the wiper run intermittently. Bob knew this invention could change the entire auto industry. He stared at his prototype for a long time. He thought this would finally give his wife and kids a better life. But Bob had no idea. He'd end up paying a heavy price for this invention. Later, Bob went to see a friend who worked with car windshields. He showed his friend and the boss his new invention. The boss was amazed. Bob asked if they could mass-produce the intermittent wiper. But the boss said inventing and manufacturing are two different things. Without real-world testing, rushing into production was just too risky. The boss said he'd need to do some market research before making a decision. But Bob's friend fully supported him. Through his glass company, he helped Bob file a patent. Soon the boss came back with good news. After his research, he learned Ford was really interested in this new wiper. If Bob could land a deal with Ford, the boss would invest and help mass-produce the wiper. The next day, Bob's friend gave him a luxury car, so Bob could install the wiper on it. Then the two of them drove to Ford, ready to show off their new invention. Ford's engineers couldn't wait to see the demo. When Bob confidently flipped the switch, something went wrong. The wiper, after all that testing, suddenly stopped working at the worst possible moment. His friend rushed over to ask what happened. Bob checked everything and realized a fuse had blown. After fixing the problem, Bob hit the switch again. The wiper started swinging in perfect rhythm. All the engineers were blown away. One engineer wondered if Bob was controlling it by hand inside the car. But when Bob stepped out, the wiper kept moving like magic. The engineers said they'd report it to the higher-ups. But at the negotiation, Ford's reps said they couldn't make a deal until they got a sample. They needed to install it on their own cars and send the test results back to headquarters. Bob was a little worried, but since he already had a patent, he decided to trust them and handed over a sample. Then Bob dove headfirst into his startup plans. With investment from his friend's boss, he quit his teaching job, rented a factory out in the suburbs to start making wipers. Just as he was about to go all in, his friend brought some terrible news. Ford had canceled the order. Bob looked at his half-built factory. He was crushed. He had to put his entire business on hold. His life hit rock bottom. With nowhere else to go, Bob went back to teaching. He figured life would just go on like this. But 3 months later, on a rainy day, Bob